अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल शिव अरुणाचल
उपासकानां यदुपासनीयम् उपात्तवासं वटशाखिमूले तद्धाम दाक्षिण्यजुषा स्वमूर्त्या जागर्तु चित्ते मम बोधरूपम् अद्राक्षम् अक्षीणदयानिधानम् आचार्यम् आद्यं वटमूलभागे मौनेन मन्दस्मितभूषितेन महर्षिलोकस्य तमोनुदन्तम् विद्राविताशेषतमोगणेन मुद्राविशेषेण मुहुर्मुनीनां निरस्य मायां दयया विधत्ते देवो महांस्तत्त्वमसीति बोधं ममाद्यदेवो वटमूलवासी कृपाविशेषात् कृतसन्निधानः ओङ्काररूपाम् उपदिश्य विद्याम् आविद्यगध्वान्तमपाकरोतु देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकमहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम् अमलरजतदेहं भादिचिज्योतिरेकं हृदयकुहरमध्ये निष्कलं देवरूपं निकटपथिविचारैः वृत्तिभिः सादरेण सभयम् अभिवरेण्यं तेजसा दीप्यमानं कर्णतनुधियां यः प्रेरकः स्वेन भासां कबलितजगदण्डः पिण्डमध्ये शयानः सकलहृदयवासः शाश्वतो ब्रह्मरूपः वितरतु परिशुद्धिं चेतसो नः शिवाख्यः. Yesterday we have an elaborate talk on the 25th verse, where Bhagavan spoke about the ego, ghost, pēyahandai. संस्कृत रूपोद्भवो रूपतति प्रतिष्ठो रूपाशनो धूतगृहीतरूपः स्वयं विरूपस्वविचारकाले धावत्यहंकार पिशाच एषः. This is the verse. And in Tamil, uruppaṭṛi uṇḍām uruppaṭṛi niṛkum uruppaṭṛi uṇḍumiha ōṅgum muruviṭṭu uruppaṭṛrum tēḍiṇāl lōṭṭam piḍikku uruvaṭṛa pēyahandai. Is the Tamil song, Tamil part. So the very path of self-inquiry, Atma Vichara. Here we are starting, that is tēḍiṇā lōṭṭam piḍikku. Yesterday we discussed about a verse from Yoga Vasishta, where Sri Rama says that the virus of samsara is this ahankara, ego. Ahankara vashādāpad ahankārāt duradhayaha ahankara vashādīha nāhankārāt paro ripuhu. All the dangers in life, miseries in life, they are the product of ahankara, ego. Because only when it affects me, I am affected. So, the ego takes it as its own. Physical trouble, at least we can understand. Some physical pain, physical disease, these things we can understand. But something which is happening outside, most of the troubles are like that. Shankaracharya says, physical trouble is comparatively very, very simple. Somewhere in Brahma Sutra Bhashya it comes. Putreshu, in the very Adhyasa Bhashya it comes, Putreshu vikaleshu sakaleshu va ahameva vikalaha sakalo va iti evam rupaha adhyasaha. When one's son, he gets 100 marks, mother or father, as if it has happened to them. And they do something wrong, they feel it is because of me, it is affecting me. So this is superimposition. This is an example given, but many things that happens outside which you have no influence, you unnecessarily suffer. You take it and put it on yourself and weep. This is called, in the scientific language of Vedanta, they say it is superimposition. Adhyasa. First you have to stop this. Physical things we will take care of later on. First you have to stop this unnecessarily mentally taking things on yourself, where you have no control at all. So this is a verse we have quoted here. Swadhyasa apanayam kuru. Remove the adhyasa. In Ramanashram, many things will be happening around. Bhagavan also lived. In fact, Bhagavan Ramana many times remarked that your samsara is, compared to me, it is very, very small. Only wife or husband or children, 2 children, only that much. Somebody said, Bhagavan, may I give up this and come to Tiruvannāmalai? Bhagavan said, see, I did that mistake, don't do it. Actually, he said this for their sake, but he said, see, I gave up a family and came here, see how big a family here I have. You can take the weight of a very huge family like Ishvara. That is the example which Bhagavan gives. Ishvara has such a big family that the whole universe is Triloki Grihasthaya Vishnu Namaste, says Shankaracharya. Vishnu has 3 logam, avarukku kudumbam. The 3 worlds are his family. And he is peacefully. See, the greatest manager, so calm, lying in the Adishesha, not at all affected by things. And he has so much troubles. There is a story that he just put his finger in his ear and just took some dirt. It became 2 asuras. A small activity, trouble comes. Vishnu karnam alodbhutau. that Madhu and Kaitaba, two asuras came and they started fighting with him. So he constantly is called for work, avatara. But he is not affected. So that is a lesson on Vedanta, that Name partha asti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana. Krishna says, I do not have anything to achieve or do or attain in three worlds, yet I am constantly active. That is the freedom of a Jivan Mukta. Your feeling is you are not taking anything on your head. You are so light. The Jnani is so light. That is the Lakshana sign which Yoga Vasishta says. How light he is? He is light like a feather of a peacock. Bahik pichagra taralaha. Antar meru rivasthitaha. And they are established in the self like the Mount Meru. That much strength is there in that jnanam, and outwardly they are so light like the feather of a peacock. And recently I heard a very beautiful example. The entire universe also is weightless to you. Just like you can see an ocean or Himalayas or anything in a cinema. Even a small stone is heavy if you lift it. But you see a Himalaya, full mountain range in the movie, will the screen carry that weight? Nothing will touch that screen. Like that, for the Jnani, he is the Adhisthana in which everything is appearing, no weight because no reality. When you give reality, the weight is on you. When you give reality, something affects you. When you don't give reality, nothing sits on you. Sitting on you is adhyasa. If it is sitting there, it is no problem. But it comes and sits on your head. There is a usage in Tamil. And Malayalam also they say, it comes and sits on my head. It is not sitting, but you are feeling the heaviness of it. So that is the problem, and the cause for this adhyasa is ahankara, and the cause for ahankara is not doing vichara. Avichara kritoyam adhyasa. You are lazy to inquire. Hence, you have to bear the heavy load of this ego. The moment you inquire, who am I? What is this I? Then you find that the I has no real existence. Then you find that the ego is a misnomer. It is a mere appearance. And then what exists? Everything will be happening. Whether the ego is active or not, things will happen. And a Mahashakti is doing. Bhagavan constantly uses that word. A Mahashakti is doing everything. You have to just surrender to it. That's all. You have no choice. You have no choice either to renounce or retain. You have to just inquire, who am I, the doer? And when you see the doer is unreal, then you find actions happen by themselves. So this is the thing that we saw. So the ego is uruvaṭṛa pēyahandai. The ego is uruvaṭṛa. It has no form of its own. And it lives by eating, consuming psychic food. That is the great thing which we learned yesterday. So much of mobile, film, movie, all these things it likes because it gets strengthened by like tonic. It gets toned by all these emotional supports. See, the ego, Sureshwaracharya says, the ego is very, very brittle. We say ego is not going, ahankara is not going. Ahankara is not there. It is very brittle. And Sureshwaracharya says, it is so fallible, like an orange that you try to maintain balance in your nose. You keep a amla or you keep a ball in your nose and try to balance it. You cannot walk freely. The moment you are careless, it will fall. Like that, the ego is also unreal. But the ego can keep itself alive only by eating all these outer stuffs. That is why, see, the kings, they are kept as kings by flattery. The moment they wake up, some people will come dum 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 dum, and they will say your face is shining like moon. That is the usual song that the bards will sing before the king. Your face is like Chandra, moon. In Malayalam will say, a song is there, Mannavendra vilangunnu Chandrane pole ninmukam. Your face is shining like Chandra, like moon. And the king has to believe. That is how the ego is kept alive. You are that, you are this. Constantly tell that, and the fool believes it. In Bhagavata there is a story about Paundraka Vasudeva. His mood became low. He became depressed. The cause is he failed miserably before Krishna in a war. And not only he, many kings were there, and amidst them Krishna came and stole away Rukmini, that princess. So he became depressed and he came back to his kingdom and said, I am useless. What is the use of saying that I am a kshatriya, I am a warrior? Then anyhow the country has to go, someone has to govern. So the ministers, they had a secret meeting, how to make this person alive again. And one minister came with a wonderful idea. He said, whether we accept it or not, our king is a fool. So the best way to boost him is to flatter him. So you flatter him. What will we flatter? Anyway, his name is Vasudeva. So we will tell him that he is the real Vasudeva, not Krishna. So will he believe? He will not believe first, but constantly we will send new people to sycophants. They will go and say, you are real Mahavishnu, Narayana. And thus people did. First people came and said that you are Vasudeva, you are the real avatar. And that person said, these people are fools. I think they are mad. He drove them away. Next day also somebody said. And third day also. Then he was wondering what is happening. Then he went and stood before mirror. Am I a real Vasudeva? And he felt something is there. Then slowly more and more people came and started with all, agarbatti. And all these things they came and started doing puja, arati. And then he felt so many people cannot make mistake. And he started believing, and he called a carpenter and asked him to make 2 extra hands to make himself fit here. And thus started that foolish journey. And at last he sent a letter to Krishna ordering him to surrender his Sudarshana Chakra. And telling him, I am the true Krishna. You are masquerading. You come and Give me my Sudarshana Chakra, my Gada, everything. So that is the story. At last Krishna said, okay, I will come. I wanted to see this foolish person. So he came and gave the Sudarshana Chakra. Through that disc, that Sudarshana at him, he tried to collect it. That is his end. So this is it looks a very funny story. The ego lives like that. The ego wants sycophants, somebody to praise constantly. So, uṇḍumiha ōṅgum. It will take all the sensory objects and become strong. Sometimes, fanaticism is a food. Anger is a food. Sometimes you have some enemy to fight, you will become stronger. Somehow the ego thrives by outer stuff. Something it takes, and vritti sarupyam. This is the disease, diagnosed disease by Patanjali. Yoga Sutra, he says, how does the ego live? The ego lives by identifying with some emotion, some thought, some identity, something. If that vritti is not there, ego has nothing to hold. That is why in talks with Ramana Maharshi, Bhagavan many places says, although we speak so much philosophy, the easiest direct way is allow the mind to be silent. Keep it silent. This is the direct practical thing. Don't unnecessarily think. Don't think about anyone. Don't interfere in other people's dharma. Keep the mind quiet, and the mind will naturally become no mind. Nakinchitapi chintayet. In Gita, Krishna says, Nakinchitapi chintayet. Do not think. In fact, Bhagavan says, to think is not your real nature. We have put it somewhere here. The calendar is there. To think is not your real nature. Perhaps after creation, nobody has said this. Because people will say, think. And Bhagavan says, to think is not your real nature. So, when you keep the mind quiet, naturally, it enters the heart. That is the easiest way to make the mind enter into the spiritual chamber, the spiritual realm. Keep it quiet. That is why we say we do japa. You hold on to some mantra or some nama or some divine form, and the mind naturally holds to that and becomes quieter, and becomes shanta. Then no form, no name, no thoughts. Yoga chittavritti nirodha. We should not bring all this siddhanta into this, because if we say this, next moment all these Vedantis will jump and they will say yoga pratyuktaha. They will say we have taken yoga as the purva paksha. No. As a sadhana it is needed. It is the best sadhana that can be prescribed to everyone. See, everyone, you cannot expect them to study MBBS and MD to cure their headache. They go to some medical shop and get a medicine, and that's all. Like that, for an ordinary person, if you want to become a guru or acharya, you need everything. Otherwise, you want only peace of mind. Somehow, keep the mind quiet, shanta. The first sutra is enough. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Unnecessarily do not cultivate chitta vritti. Unnecessarily do not do the agriculture of mind. anything that makes you unnecessarily think, avoid it. See, the two forces are there. One is divine force. Divine force in the sense, it can be Guru or it can be some vibhuti, we say, like Arunachala, or you go to some temple, the deity there, or some natural beauty, very peaceful place. These are all divine in the sense they quieten your mind. Your brain becomes quiet, your mind becomes quiet, the ego is for the time being made to subside. So such forces are called vibhuti. And other force is there, samashaktihi, vishamashaktihi. Another force is there which will create some event or bring some individual in your contact, or some emotional turbulence will happen and force you, compel you to think. You can meet these forces, two forces in your life. You should be very careful about the force which will make you think. See, the mobile is like that. The simple thing, the only purpose of this mobile, all the internet stuff is to make you think. Keep you engaged, mentally engaged. Compel you to be emotionally active. Let the mind become turbulent. That is the purpose of all these gadgets. Satsanga, Guru. It is, what does it do? You get agitated, distracted, scattered by your worldly life. With all that you come to satsanga, the force of satsanga can be measured by the effect that it cures you of that problem. It heals you of that problem. Satsangat mukta dussangaha hatum notsahate buddha. Bhagavata says, the wise person, he constantly observes how satsanga removes the effect of dussanga and he holds on to it. He never wants to be away from satsanga because satsanga heals all the maladies that has accumulated in him due to dussanga. It washes you clean. It cleanses you. It makes you quieter, shanta. So that is the Shakti. That is what Bhagavan says about Arunachala also. That is what Bhagavan says. Parthanan putumai. Bhagavan says, I saw a great wonder in this world. It is not simply about Arunachala. It is the Arunachala is the example that Bhagavan gives. One drishtanta. Wherever your mind attains that quietude, it is Arunachala. Parthanan putumai, uirvalikanta parvatam. It just pulls your mind, pulls you deep from yourself. It pulls you nearby. And what does it do? Uirvalikanta parvatam urutaramidhanai. Ortidum uirai. You need not even go there. From distance you meditate on Arunachala. Cheshtayai odukki. All the mental oscillations, vagaries are all quietened. Cheshtayai odukki. Orudanada abhimugamaga yirth. That mind is pulled towards the center, towards the self. Tanpola chalamachayum. Like the mountain, you also becomes achala, nishala, still inside, in the heart. So this is what Bhagavan says here. So, next verse, 26th verse. Ahandai-undāyin anaithum undāgum. அகந்தை இன்றேல் இன்று அனைத்தும் அகந்தை-யே யாவுமாம் ஆதலால் யாதிதென்று நாடலே ஓவுதல் யாவும் என ஓர். ஓவுதல் யாவும் என ஓர். ஓவுதல் is all very rare usage in Tamil, where Bhagavan says ஓவுதல் means renunciation. One has to renounce. A famous journalist who made Bhagavan also famous in the West, Paul Brenton, he asked Bhagavan, should I not renounce all my possessions? And Bhagavan added, he said, the possessor too. Not simply the possessions. Give up the possessor, because the possessor is the trouble. The ego is the trouble. So, here also Bhagavan says, what is real renunciation? What is true renunciation? Because without renunciation, the highest peace, that shanti of Jivan Mukti will not happen. Sannyasa yoga dhyataya shuddha sattvaha, as the Veda says. That sannyasa yoga, it is not outer sannyasa. That is very easily understandable. It is not simply outer sannyasa. Something more deeper. So what is it? So that is what Bhagavan says here. See, Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitarthaha. The first step is you listen, do Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana of Vedanta. Vedanta means the Upanishads. Vedanto nama Upanishad Pramanam. All the Upanishads or the teaching, first you understand it perfectly, intellectually you get clarified, clear. But even after that, then you find that the mind is still agitated. If, sometimes, it is not always, because if you really understand Vedanta, that is where all the prerequisites come. If the prerequisites are all there, by mere listening a person becomes a Jivan Mukta. That is promised. People think we have to study Vedanta, then do some sadhana. Somewhere one Vedanta teacher, he says, if you want to learn how to play Veena, you have to start playing Veena. First you will make mistakes. No sound will come properly. Then later on you start playing all the kirtanas in that. But one person says, it is very difficult to learn Veena, so I will first study Mridangam. Then Veena will become easy. No. That is an entirely different instrument. Like that, you cannot, Vedanta will not become easy by karmanushtana or by even upasana, because they are all, the kartrutva is important, the bhoktrutva is important, doership, enjoyership, the meditator, meditated, this difference is there. So, till you come to listen to Vedanta Jnana, they are all important. But the moment you listen, you start understanding this. Now the only sadhana that is important for you is listen more deeply. Listen more deeply, absorb the knowledge more deeply, let the knowledge becomes powerful inside you. Viryavattaram. As Shankaracharya puts it, Viryavattaram. Let it become, Viryam means energetic. It gains strength in you. Suppose, you know that the fire, if you touch fire, it will burn you. But even after knowing it, you go and touch it. That means the knowledge is not real. But if you really know, you will not touch it. Like that, when the knowledge becomes perfect, renunciation also becomes natural. Non-essentials will be renounced. That is all. Non-essentials will be renounced. Essentials no one can renounce. Non-essentials will be renounced naturally. And Bhagavan goes to the very center of the problem and says, what is true renunciation? Ovudal yavum. Everything is renounced. Tēna tyaktena bhunjitaha. As the Upanishad says, renounce the entire world. How to renounce the entire world? There the prakriya is, see the world as God and you have renounced world as world. One lady came to Ramakrishna and she said, very old lady, she said, I want to go to Vrindavan and do Krishna bhajanam, Krishna bhakti. But the situation is such that I have to look after my grandchild. And I am not able to move out. I feel very sad. Ramakrishna said, you do one thing, you dress your grandson as Krishna and start worshipping him. Your attachment to him will be changed as bhakti. You have to spiritualize your worldly experience. That is Ishavasyam. If you can do that, in your house will become Vrindavan. Your grandchild will become Krishna. The grandchild will grow, but your dhyana will stay. That is the secret. That is the secret. Grandchild, you cannot go on worshipping him so that he will not grow. He will have big mustache, beard, everything will come to him. Then you will not be able to see him as Krishna. But the meditation that you practice intensely will stay inside you. That is, of course, it is not commonly possible for everyone to do that. But certain people will have that capability. They can transform worldly life as spiritual. For them, the Upanishad says, Ishavasyam. You cover the world with Ishvara. Actually, Shankaracharya says, you need not cover the world with Ishvara. You have already covered Ishvara with world. Now you have to remove that tarpaulin. That's all. You just remove. And the example that he gives is chandanam, the sandalwood, will sting if you put it in water. For some days, if you put it in water, due to that contact, it will stink, it will smell. And how to bring its natural fragrance? You start, grind it. Then the surface material, when it goes, the true fragrance will come out. Like that, you start doing manana, nididhyasana, this churning within. You start the attrition within. Then the true fragrance, the chandana is yourself. It will start emanating the fragrance from within. So, that is the method of the Upanishad, where you can renounce everything by seeing everything as God. Of course, Bhagavan also says that, Arunachala Pancharatnam, the last shloka is that, see the entire world as God. And a person who can do that, for him, no closed eyes meditation is needed. With open eyes, he has won over Maya. Sajayati Arunachala. He says he wins over everything because for him there is no world. For him, everything is God. Tyagaha prapanjarupasya. This form of prapanja, this worldly life is renounced. How? Brahmatmatva avalokanat. By seeing it as Brahman, Tyago hi mahatam pujya, that is supreme renunciation. Sadhyo mokshamayo viduhu, here and now the person attains moksha, liberation. Nothing can bind him, nothing can create him samsara, nothing can create him misery. So this, of course, is Bhagavata dharma also. Bhagavata also says, yat sarvatra tadikshanam. Seeing him everywhere. And one who is able to do that, he is the highest bhakta, the supreme bhakta. But that kind of jnana is very rare. That kind of jnana comes to you, the world disappears, because nothing good or bad or nothing you will see. You will not be able to do any vyavahara, because you will not see a criminal as criminal, you will see him as God. You will not see a thief as thief, you will see him as God. You will not see that she is a woman, he is a man. You will be knowing, but the knowledge of Godhood covers it. It just overpowers it. Then the world loses its reality. Brahmane pulkase stene brahmanye arke spulingake akrure krurage chaiva samadrik pandito mataha. Akrure krurage chaiva. Bhagavata says, whether the person is a violent person, he is also Narayana. A person is very peaceful, he is also Narayana. A Brahmana, he is also Narayana. A meat-eating person, he is also Narayana. A clean, neat person, a dirty person, nothing disturbs him. But the problem is, if you have to interact with these people, this jnana will not be effective. That is why Shankaracharya says only a Paramahamsa can do that. Where no interaction is there, nothing is needed from anyone, no selfish movement is there, then you are free. You can be a friend of all. You don't want respect from society, nothing is needed, then you can put your hand on anyone's shoulders and walk. No search for praise, no fear of blame. People can, even if they speak ill about you, you are happy. See, this is the highest renunciation where the ego is not active. People think you sit in meditation room and inquire, who am I? And you see the I is gone. For sometimes you experience peace, then you write a book. This is the modern Vedanta. I sat in my room, the mind became quiet when I sought, ego is not there. And some other people, they say, once when Ramakrishna Math, there was a talk series was happening, and a great saintly Swami, to him one youngster came and said, Swamiji, I attended transcendental meditation. Oh. And while meditating, they told me that if you have some special experience, tell us. So I was meditating, and I heard, as the Yoga Shastra says, that ringing of bell ringing voice that I heard. Oh, Swamiji said, oh, that is wonderful. Swamiji, you have heard it 4 times every day. Breakfast, lunch, evening tea, and night at the mutt, they will ring the bell. And Swamiji said, I know only dental meditation, no transcendental meditation. He asked, what is dental meditation? He said, Ramakrishna has said that if you have toothache, whatever you may do, mind will be in that pain. Like that, if you feel desperate that you have not realized God, if that pain, that longing comes to you, whatever maybe you are doing in the world, your mind will be in God. It will be always recollecting Bhagavan. So that he calls this dental meditation, not transcendental meditation. So somehow keep your mind in the higher realm. And slowly surrender your ego to that presence, that Sannidhi. So that the ego will be completely removed. This is the entire teaching. Whether you take to dualistic religion or Vishishtadvaita or Advaita, if you can surrender to a higher presence, if you can surrender your ego to that, that is why in Gospel of Ramana Maharshi, when somebody asked Bhagavan about Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita, Bhagavan said, everyone accepts self-realization. Two things they accept, either realize the self or surrender. First you do that. Let us see after that whether it is Vishishtadvaita or Dvaita or Advaita. All of them accept you should have self-knowledge. Atma-jnana is needed, it is accepted by all. Nobody says the body is the Atma. So first you realize the self. Then we will see whether there is duality or qualified duality, non-duality or non-duality. That we will see later. So, now coming to the center. The central teaching of Bhagavan. Karuvam ahandai. Bhagavan uses a word here, karu. Karu means the primal seed. You can say the fetus inside the womb. Or you can say the smallest seed, the beginning, the germ. Embryo. Embryo chinada fetusa. Rendene vyathyasam. So this is the primal seed. Kalalam tu ekaratrena, pancharatrena budbudam, dashahena tu karkantu. Kanam. Kanam, that kana becomes kalalam. As Bhagavata puts it, first it is a small speck, then it becomes kalalam tu ekaratrena. By one night it becomes somewhat bigger. Pancharatrena budbudam. By 5 nights it becomes something like a bubble. Dashahena tu karkantu. By 10 days it becomes something like a small fruit. Then slowly, like that. But the first thing, karu, Bhagavan says ego is the karu. So the ego was born before the body. The avidya. And avidya is there, deep rooted, right? The avidya first thought, the Yoga Shastra, they say, the yogis can create themselves. Actually, every creation is happening only like that. But Patanjali says, the person's eye becomes so intense and is blown into the womb of the woman. This is the Yoga Shastra. It is blown into the womb, Garbhapatra. So actually it is ego which is multiplying. In the thought form it is there, it becomes so intense and manifests in some form. It is manifesting in dream in some form. The same way it takes birth in outside also it takes birth. But here Bhagavan says the ahanta, ego, the jiva bhava is the seed within you. Your own birth. Ahandai-undayil anaitthum undavum. When that ahandai is there, ego is there, everything else comes up. You, he, this, that, everything comes. அகந்தையின்றேல் இன்று அனைத்தும் அகந்தையும் உண்டா அகந்தையின்றேல் அனைத்தும் இன்று. Without the ego, nothing else is there. Vastu ahankara riktata. Yoga Vasishta says, when the ego is not, that is vastu, that is reality. Deep sleep is the authentic state where we have the experience of being without the ego. The ego is not there, but existence, full reality is there. The principle is there. So, ahandai இன்றேல் அனைத்தும் இன்று, ahandai-ē யாவும் ஆம். Bhagavan here says, the ego becomes everything, all. Sarvam. In classical Vedanta Shastra, they will not accept the word Sarvam. Many places when people say about Sarvam Brahmamayam, Bhagavan once said to a scholar, is it not true that Sarvam Brahmamayam? Bhagavan said, give up the Sarvam and Mayam. What exists is Brahman, that's all. There is neither Sarvam nor Mayam. In deep sleep, what can you say? Sugamar. No Sarvam. No Mayam also. Sukhamayam, no. Sukham. Only that much. And there is no Sarvam. There is no others. There is no I also. So the I creates the feeling of all. The I creates the feeling of all. When the I is not, the all becomes meaningless. Manifoldness becomes meaningless. So, ahandai-ēன்றேல் இன்று அனைத்தும் இன்று. When the ego is not, others also are not. Nobody is there. ahandai-ē யாவுமாம் ஆதலால் யாது இது என்று நாடுதலே. What you have to do is turn the intellect inward and enquire what is this I and what is this ego. Once you enquire the ego, you clearly gets convinced that the ego is unreal. The renunciation has blossomed within you, has happened within you. True renunciation has happened within you when you know I am nobody. I does not exist. The ego has no reality. One of my friends, we both of us studied Vedanta Shastra in Kaladi, and he recently dropped his body. He had some troubles. So once, and he was a very humorous person. See, sometimes even mentally you are affected by you have some stress or depression. Sometimes even that becomes prarabdha. Some chemical imbalance happened. Actually, some snake bite happened to him. Very poisonous snake bite. And after that, he had some trouble with that. But all the while he will be joking. All the while he will be joking. He will be undergoing the trouble, but he will be joking. So once he told me that I myself was not in a balanced state. And I was moving about in the street, and in their place, in Kerala, that place, there was a very well-known mad woman, insane woman. very interesting mad woman. About her also he used to make a lot of joke. So her swadharma, nityanushtana, every day, you know what she will do? Morning she will wake up and the first thing that she will do is search for a policeman and fire him left and right. Because she had some trouble with police, that we can understand. So morning she will, if she finds some policeman in the street, Tolanja. It is his destiny. Otherwise, she will go to the police station every day. So the police people, you know what they will do? The moment they see her coming, they will close all the windows, door, everything, and go inside and sit. And after firing them, she will become very calm. Then she will put a stone, put some kumkumam, chandanam, everything, do puja to it, very calm after that. So her first thing is to scold some policeman. So that was her Nityanushtana. So this is a very interesting lady. And she is mad also. So she was coming in the street. So this person, Rameshan, he said he was moving with another person. Both of them were talking, having a conversation and walking in the street. Then this lady was coming. He told me, I saw her, I was afraid because already I am myself not all right. And this lady is coming, I don't know what she will say. And he is a thorough Vedanti. All Prasthanatraya, everything he studied. So she came near them as he expected. First she spoke to the other person whom she knew. Now she looked, stared at him and scrutinized him. And she said, Idi yaru? Like this, she kept her hand and looked at him, and who is this? And Rameshan, he said, I was afraid what she is going to say. And she said, oh, Aru Allah. She said, oh, he is nobody. What she meant is, he is not anyone whom I know. But Rameshan said, it was like Satori for me, it was like Mahavakyam. She said, she inquired inside me, who is this? And said, oh, Aru Allah, he is nobody. And there was an explosion of joy inside me because she gave me Mahavakya Upadesham in the morning. So this is, here Bhagavan also says, you inquire the ego, the I thought, then you find that the ego is not real. The entire samsara is built upon this ego. Although it is named ego, it never goes. Because it is not real, it is there. You see that, but it is not real. And on that the samsara is built. When you inquire the ego, you find that it is unreal. And when that knowledge is firm, that is why Yoga Shastra also says, what is the base, cause for the ego? Yoga Shastra says avidya. That's all. Avidya asmita ragadvesha abhiniveshaha kleshaha. Samsara has so many kleshas. Klesha means miseries, suffering. And the cause for that klesha is ragadvesha. You are attached to something, that also creates misery. You are averse to something, that also creates misery. Attachment and aversion is the cause for misery. And where from the attachment and aversion comes? Asmita, ego. I, me, mine. This is the cause for suffering. And where from this I thought comes? Because you do not inquire. Avichara kritaha. Avidya. So the basic problem is avidya. The moment you inquire, then you find that the ego, the I thought, ahankara is not real. And if that knowledge is perfect, Bhagavan says that is sannyasa. Ovudal yavumena or. That is real ovudal. That is real giving up. You have to give up yourself. You have to give up the ahankara. When that ahankara is gone, everything is gone. And the thing is, then you feel the power of divine which is operating through the body and mind. It is not the power of the ego. That is why Lalita Sahasranama, Navaratri is coming. So Devi Mahatmya, there every activity in the body mind is spoken as the activity of Divine Mother, and 3 prostrations is given to her. Namastasye, Namastasye, Namastasye Namo Namah. Actually 4 prostrations. Namastasye, Namastasye, Namastasye Namo Namaha. 5. Namaha, Namaha. 5 times do namaskara to her, because she is within me as sleep. She is within me as hunger. She is within me as thirst. She is within me as intellect. She is within me as memory. She is within me as forgetfulness. She is within me as delusion. She is within me as strength. So, where am I? I am not there. And she is within me as Chaitanya, consciousness. Ya Devi sarvabhuteshu chetanetya vidhiyate. Ya Devi sarvabhuteshu smriti rupena samsthita. Ya Devi sarvabhuteshu buddhi rupena samsthita. Ya Devi sarvabhuteshu bhranti rupena samsthita. Ya Devi sarvabhuteshu kshuddha rupena samsthita. Trishna rupena samsthita. Shraddha rupena samsthita. Shakti rupena samsthita. Everything is that Shakti. Then who am I? I don't exist. Then you find the I has no real existence, no reality. Then ovudal yavumanavor. Then this is true renunciation. See, this knowledge, when it becomes alive within you, renunciation becomes true. It is not in giving up food, giving up dress, or giving up staying place or anything. It is the inner one, the inner jnanam. That is very important. So Bhagavan here says, Ovudal yavum ena or. Although Brahman is experienced in deep sleep, the realization I am he does not occur, since the veiling of avidya still remains. The identification with the I brings about unending miseries. One pays attention to the illusory individuality without seeing the self, like seeing the superimposed snake without seeing the rope. However, when light is focused on it, the rope becomes clearly visible. In the same way, when closely observed with a clear intellect, the ego vanishes, and in its place, the eternal, pure, ever-free conscious reality reveals itself. Bhagavan refers to this as ahandai-y-ē endru nāḍal. What this is, thus inquiring. Then the jivabhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagad. As Krishna says in Gita, the I is there behind the entire load of creation. When you seek what it is, then you find it is Ishvara. So we have a very big commentary written on sannyasa, the true sannyasa. Because about Bhagavan, Kavyakanta said, Yati dharma tatim paripalayata paritashятamo vinivarayata. Perfectly holding on to that yati dharma tatim paripalayata paritashятamo vinivarayata. The darkness around is all dispelled by his light effulgence. But the sannyasa that Bhagavan says is, it should be spiritually effective. It is not to make believe others only. It is the spiritually effective sannyasa. He saw to it that Muruganar, Vishwanatha Swami, Kunju Swami, they all begged for food. They found, he in fact made them beggars, because he never accepted this comfortable sannyasa. Muruganar gave up all his house and everything and came to Ramana ashram and donated everything actually. After some days, Ramana ashram, of course, they said, you cannot take food every day here. Then he said, Bhagavan, enna pandrathu? He's a very sensitive person, very humble, not very daring person. So he said, pichada adukanam. Only way for me now is to beg. Bhagavan said, Romba nalladu vai. He said, it is good. I will teach you where to beg. And he gave him all the lessons, which street to go, how to go. And Vishwanatha Swami, they all used to do that. Go and stand before some house, right, clapping the hand for bhiksha. So, that is the outer thing. But the inner thing is jnanam. The atmak jnanam, where you know that the self within you is ever detached. Asango hi ayam purusha. The purusha, the atma within, is always asanga. So, we have a poem here on renunciation. The other portion we will discuss tomorrow. Renunciation. The very sound is music to the soul. It alone is the herb that heals all the hurts caused by desire. It alone is the mantra that drives out the vampire ego. The robe and bowl of the awakened one is the insignia of freedom. The heart purged of all desire emits the perfume of great peace. The fragrance of renunciation attracts divine beings to that center. All the devas pass through the person to touch the inner presence. Devas are not a solid form. They are not visible forms. They are the higher presence. They pass through. Such was the sage par excellence, Sri Ramana, who walked the earth emitting the fragrance of Atmanubhuti. The master who gave up for the good of all and took the begging bowl of compassion, an emperor amongst monks, the greatest knower of Brahman. So this is a verse on Bhagavan. Sometimes, modern people, when they come to Bhagavan, they simply forget that Bhagavan was a sannyasi. Many people have asked me also, Bhagavan never said sannyas. Bhagavan never said. Bhagavan wanted you to be inwardly at least truly renunciate. And Bhagavan knows that all are not qualified for that. And those who were ready, he was very careful about them. Like Annamalai Swami, they were all he never will give Upadesha in the public or anything. Ramakrishna was also like that. He was also like that. So, Bhagavan was the supreme yati. And it is not that easy, like Dakshinamurti. It's not that easy to be like him. I heard somewhere that Chandrasekhara Bharati Swami remarked once that they used to call Ramana Maharshi in those days as Brahmana Swami. Narasimha Bharati Swami used to say. So that he obeyed every rule of that ashrama. Never wore a chappal, never went in a vehicle, never moved out of the place, never touched money. So, that is all outer, but Bhagavan says the inner is more important, where the ego is not. Ovudal yavum ena or. We will continue tomorrow, 27th verse. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Yato mamatma bhavasi tvameva, tato na vachyam mama kinjitasti, yathata vishtam kurumam tathaiva, tvam atmanatham ramanam bhaja.